Business English vocabulary. Examples 1. Mastering Business English by Tracey, Simon.
So where should we start? How about a dime a dozen? What's that all about in a business context?
Okay, yeah, a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
You hear that, and it sounds like something's not very special. Right?
Yeah.
What's the kind of the core message there for someone navigating the business world?
Well, fundamentally, a dime a dozen means something super common. It's abundant, easy to find. But the kicker is that high availability often implies, well, lower value or a lack of uniqueness.
Right.
Understanding that is pretty important when you're thinking about your own skills or maybe the value of a product.
Gotcha. So if everyone has it, it's harder to stand out. Okay, can you give us a couple of examples? Where might this phrase actually appear?
Sure. Take the tech industry, for instance. You might hear, oh, basic coding skills are a dime a dozen these days.
Uh-huh.
That tells you, look, those skills are essential, definitely, but just having the basics isn't enough anymore to be really competitive. You need something more, specialization maybe, or advanced skills.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, what's another scenario?
Well, think about maybe freelance work. Like after a big boom in online courses, someone might say, freelance writers with really general skills, they're kind of a dime a dozen right now.
Ah, okay.
It suggests that, to get the better clients or charge higher rates, these writers probably need to specialize, find a niche, or offer something really unique. It's like a signal that the market's saturated there.
So a dime a dozen is almost like a market indicator tells you where the competition is fierce. Okay, moving on, we've got a phrase that sounds a bit harsh. A fool and his money are soon parted. What's the lesson here?
Yeah, it is blunt, isn't it? It's basically a stark reminder that you need financial common sense, sound judgment.
Right.
It implies that people who are, well, unwise or maybe easily fooled, they tend to lose their money quickly through bad decisions or, falling for scams.
It's definitely a cautionary tale. Can you give us an example or two of how this plays out maybe in a business setting?
Okay, imagine an investor. They get really excited about some super trendy get-rich-quick scheme, but they don't do their homework, no real research. And then it collapses. Someone watching might just shake their head and say, well, proves the point, doesn't it? A fool and his money are soon parted. It really highlights the risk of those impulsive, poorly researched financial moves.
Yeah, a painful lesson indeed. What's another way this idiom might surface? Maybe less about scams, more about just poor decisions.
Okay, picture this. A company, maybe they've been warned by their own IT team about cybersecurity risks, repeatedly. But they decide not to invest in better protection to save money in the short term.
Mm-hmm.
Then, bam, they get hit with a massive, costly data breach. People might say, see, a fool and his money are soon parted. It underlines why ignoring expert advice or refusing to make necessary investments can be incredibly expensive in the long run.
Right, that kind of negligence.
Yeah.
Very costly. Okay, let's shift gears to something more positive, a game changer. We hear this thrown around a lot. What's the real essence of it?
A game changer, yeah, it describes something genuinely transformative. It could be an innovation, a new strategy, sometimes even a person.
Uh-huh.
But the key is that it fundamentally changes the current situation, the rules, the whole competitive dynamic. Usually it's a big positive shift with a lasting impact.
So more than just an improvement, it actually redefines the game itself. Can you give us a couple of solid examples of business game changers?
Oh, definitely. I mean, think about the introduction of the smartphone. That was an absolute game changer for, well, almost everything. Communication, computing, photography, commerce.
Right, it changed multiple industries at once.
Exactly. It didn't just improve phones, it created entirely new possibilities and disrupted countless existing businesses.
Okay, that's a huge one. What about another example, maybe more specific to a single industry?
How about streaming services like Netflix for the entertainment industry?
Yeah, good one.
They completely disrupted the traditional model of cable TV and movie rentals. That shift to on-demand, subscription-based content, definitely a game changer. It forced everyone else to adapt or become irrelevant.
Absolutely clear. A game changer forces a major shift.
Okay, next. A hard pill to swallow. Sounds like bad news.
It usually is. A hard pill to swallow refers to some difficult truth or unwelcome news, or maybe just a situation that's really tough to accept emotionally or mentally.
Yeah.
It's that thing you wish wasn't true, but you kind of have to face it. We've all faced those moments. Can you illustrate with a couple of business examples? When might someone need to swallow that hard pill?
Imagine a company that's been making a flagship product for years, very successful, but then the market shifts, technology changes, and suddenly their product just isn't competitive anymore.
Oh.
Accepting that reality, that maybe the thing they built their success on is obsolete, that's a very hard pill to swallow for the whole leadership team. It means big, potentially painful changes are needed.
Yeah, letting go of past success is tough. What's another hard pill scenario?
Think about getting critical feedback. Maybe a manager has to tell a long-term, loyal employee that their performance just isn't meeting expectations anymore and significant improvement is needed.
Right.
Delivering that news is hard, and for the employee, hearing it and accepting it can be a really hard pill to swallow, even if it's necessary for their development or the company's health.
True. Facing personal or professional shortcomings is never easy. Okay, our next idiom is quite visual. A horse of a different color. What's this getting at?
It's a neat way of saying something is a completely different issue altogether. It's not just a slight variation. It's a distinct matter or maybe a totally different angle on a topic.
So it signals a major contrast.
Exactly. It emphasizes a fundamental difference between two things that might have initially seemed related.
Okay, can you paint a picture with a couple of examples?
Yeah.
How does this differentiation play out?
Let's say you're discussing marketing. Someone might say, we've figured out how to market to corporations, B2B. But marketing directly to consumers, that's a horse of a different color.
Yeah. Different audience, different approach.
Totally different strategies, channels, messaging needed. The core principles might be there, but the execution is completely distinct.
Makes sense. What's another context for a horse of a different color?
How about managing a small team versus leading a large, complex department across multiple locations? Someone who's done both might say, leading 5 people is one thing, but managing 50 across 3 time zones, that, my friend, is a horse of a different color.
Right. The scale changes everything.
The complexity, the communication challenges, the delegation required, it's just fundamentally different.
Okay, so a horse of a different color basically means reset your expectations and strategy. Good one. Next up, a level playing field. This sounds like something everyone wants, right? Fairness.
Absolutely. A level playing field describes that ideal situation where everyone involved, competitors, participants, has the same opportunities, the same rules, the same conditions, no built-in advantages or disadvantages.
Yeah, it's all about fairness, equal footing. Can you give us examples of efforts to create or maintain this level playing field in business?
Well, a classic example is government regulation. Think about rules designed to prevent insider trading in stock markets.
Okay.
The goal there is to create a level playing field, ensuring that someone with privileged information doesn't have an unfair advantage over the general investing public. It's about equal access to information, or at least preventing unequal access from being exploited.
That makes sense. Protecting fairness in the market. What's another area where this concept is crucial?
Think about competitive bidding for government contracts. Ideally, the process is designed to create a level playing field. Clear requirements, transparent evaluation criteria so that all companies, big or small, have a fair shot at winning the contract based on merit, not connections or unfair advantages.
Right. Ensuring the process itself is fair.
Yeah.
Okay, let's turn to a classic. A penny saved is a penny earned. Feels like very sound advice.
It really is. It's a simple but powerful idea. It emphasizes that being careful with money, being frugal, saving it, that's just as valuable as actually going out and earning more money.
Because money not spent is money you still have.
Exactly. Saved money can be used later for investments, for needs. It highlights the importance of managing expenses, not just focusing on income.
It's practical wisdom.
Yeah.
How does this show up in, say, a business context or even personal finance? Give us a couple of examples.
Okay, think about a restaurant owner. If they meticulously track food waste and find ways to reduce it, maybe through better portion control or inventory management, every dollar they save on wasted ingredients goes directly to their bottom line. That's a penny saved is a penny earned in action. It boosts profit just as much as increasing sales would.
Good example. Small efficiencies adding up.
Yeah.
What's another one, maybe more personal?
Someone planning a vacation, they could just book the first flight and hotel they see. Or they could spend some time comparing prices, looking for deals, maybe traveling slightly off season.
Right.
The money they save by being thrifty and doing that research, that's money they can use for something else, maybe nicer meals on the trip or just keeping it in their savings. A penny saved
is a penny earned. Got it. Okay, next idiom. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Speaks for itself almost.
It really does, doesn't it? It's all about the power of visuals. The idea is that a single image, a chart, a diagram can often convey a really complex idea or a lot of information much more effectively, much more quickly than just words alone.
Seeing is understanding, sometimes. How do businesses really put this principle to work?
Well, think about any business presentation that involves data. Sales trends, market research, financial performance. Instead of just reading out numbers or describing trends in paragraphs, they use charts, graphs, maybe heat maps. A good visual can make complex data instantly understandable, revealing patterns you might miss in a wall of text. That's a picture is worth 1,000 words right there.
It definitely makes data less intimidating. What's another common use?
Marketing and advertising rely heavily on this. Think about a powerful photograph in an ad campaign or a well-designed logo.
Right.
Or even infographics. Companies use those all the time now to explain complex processes or showcase their impact. A good infographic combines images and minimal text to tell a story quickly and engagingly. It grabs attention and makes the message stick far better than just writing it all out.
Yeah, visuals cut through the noise. Okay, next. A rising tide lifts all boats. That sounds optimistic, like shared prosperity.
That's exactly the idea. It suggests that when the overall economy, or maybe a specific industry, is doing well and growing, pretty much everyone involved benefits, even those who might have been struggling before.
So general improvement benefits the many, not just the few.
Yes, it highlights that interconnectedness. When the tide of the economy rises, most boats, businesses, individuals tend to rise with it.
Can you give us a couple of real-world examples of this rising tide effect?
Think about a city investing heavily in tourism infrastructure, maybe a new convention center, better public transport, beautification projects.
Yeah.
If that successfully attracts more tourists, it's not just the big hotels that benefit. The restaurants, the small shops, the tour guides, the taxi drivers. Everyone sees an uptick in business. The rising tide of tourism lifts all those boats.
That's a great illustration. What's another scenario?
Consider a boom in a particular sector, like, say, renewable energy. As demand grows and investment pours in, it creates opportunities across the board. The large manufacturers benefit, sure, but so do the smaller suppliers of components, the installation companies, the maintenance crews, the research labs working on the next innovation. The overall growth creates a positive environment for everyone in that ecosystem.
Right. Shared success driven by broad, positive trends. Okay, last one for today. A shot in the arm. What does this idiom signify?
A shot in the arm is something that provides a sudden welcome boost. It could be energy, motivation, funding, morale, something that revitalizes or encourages, especially when things have been a bit sluggish or difficult.
So like a quick injection of positivity or resources.
Exactly. It implies a noticeable positive impact that helps things get moving again or perform better.
Okay, let's have a couple of examples. What might act as a shot in the arm in a business setting?
For a team that's been working on a long, challenging project and maybe morale is starting to dip, getting some unexpected positive publicity or winning an industry award for their work, that could be a real shot in the arm.
Yeah, external validation can be powerful.
It reaffirms their efforts, boosts their confidence, and gives them fresh energy to push towards the finish line.
Makes sense. What's another example of a shot in the arm?
Think about a small retail business that's been struggling through a slow season. Then suddenly, a local event brings a huge influx of customers over a weekend, resulting in record sales.
Like a sudden boost.
That unexpected surge in revenue and foot traffic is a definite shot in the arm. It provides much-needed cash flow, boosts the owner's spirits, and maybe gives them the confidence to keep going.
Right, a timely boost when it's needed most.
Yeah.
Well, that's 10 idioms unpacked. We've definitely covered some ground today.
We have, and hopefully by looking at the meaning in these practical examples, you, our listener, have a much better feel for how these phrases actually work in business conversations.
Yeah, understanding them is one thing, but recognizing them in context and maybe even starting to use them yourself. That's where the real value lies for effective communication.
Absolutely. It's about being more attuned to the nuances of business language.
So, here's something to think about. Consider how just mastering a few of these common phrases might subtly shift your own interactions or how you're perceived in the business world. What other parts of business language, maybe jargon or other types of expressions, do you think could unlock further insights for you?
That's a great question. Always more to learn.
Indeed. If you have more sources like the vocabulary list today or specific areas of business communication you'd like us to dive into next time, please do send them our way. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.